Hi there, I'm Allison Kurak, owner of Stitch Real Estate Transaction Coordination Company, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am covering the question I get asked, can I be a part-time TC? If you've been checking out any of my other videos before this one, or if you're enjoying this one, I hope you will hit that subscribe button and then also like this video. Be sure to head to my channel to check out some more of our great content. Alrighty, so now diving into the topic of today's video, which as I mentioned, we are answering the question, can I be a part-time TC? And there is a short answer and a long-winded answer for this. This is a question I get asked frequently, or I'll see people talk about frequently that they're thinking about doing this part-time. So I wanted to make a video to cover it. Like I said, short answer to can I be a part-time TC is yes. But let's get into the long-winded answer and some more of the specifics next. All right, so yes, you can absolutely be a part-time TC, just like you can mostly do a lot of other jobs part-time. However, it's not going to be without some adjustments and potentially challenges. So the first thing I want you to consider is your availability. So if you are available, depending on your current obligations or other work situation, if you have availability to be flexible to be at your computer or your phone every couple hours, then you could technically be a full-time TC with your availability to clients, but you may only be working actively a very small portion of the day. So what I mean by this is I personally like to have a goal of closing about 25 to 30 transactions a month myself. I consider that to be about full-time, maybe a little bit more depending on how efficient you are and things like that. However, there are a lot of coordinators who only care to close 2 files a month or 5 files a month or maybe 10. And those coordinators, they may be available still between more traditional hours. Like for example, I'm available to clients and working between 9 a.m. to 5, Monday through Friday, but they may only actually be really working for like an hour or so a day. And I even have slower days and slower periods where I may only actually do concentrated work for a couple hours or things like that on the transactions. So depending on what you want to close, you may not be working that full day. Keep in mind, especially if you're doing independent contractor work, starting your own business, working from home, you're not tied to go into an office or something and sitting there for that whole time period. So you can be much more flexible. You could be available between 9 and 5, but only actually actively working, a couple hours a day or even 30 minutes a day, but you would still need to be able to get back to your computer and phone within a reasonable amount of time if an agent has a request within those hours. So think about that route, and if that makes sense. You could market yourself and advertise yourself just like a regular full-time TC service, but depending on how many clients you want to take on, you wouldn't actually be working that many hours a day. So I think that's a model a lot of TCs follow, and even just starting and building up your business, that will be the case even if your goal was to eventually be full-time. So you can kind of start that way, especially if you're maybe working on transitioning from one career to another and you have a little more flexibility, then I would encourage you to kind of consider that option too. All right. But let's say that we do not have, we just can't commit to be available, or we have another job obligation or something like that. So we can't have like more regular set hours, and we're going to have to shorten our availability or have more off time availability. If you need to do this, what's going to be absolutely most important is going to be establishing your working hours and making those very clear to any agents that you're working with or potentially working with. This could potentially pose a challenge in getting new clients depending on how limited your hours are and what the clients are expecting. Like I said, a lot of people are going to expect a TC to be available more of those traditional hours, like ours is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But if you have to shorten those, just figure out, what works for you while also being the most available, or how could you use it to a unique advantage. So an example of this may be you offer after hours TC work, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, or Saturdays from 12 to 4 or something. Maybe there's an agent who works with me during the work week and works with you at night and on the weekends to get full round the clock service. So that could be kind of a way to spin it. Is to offer maybe kind of non-traditional hours, but less hours, but non-traditional, so that you're able to kind of mix it with your other work commitments or anything else you have going on. That could be a way to potentially get some different clients or get more clients. Like I said, it won't be without its challenges necessarily, just since you're not going to be available all the time, But figuring out your niche and a way to market yourself while still being part-time is definitely possible. Also, maybe figuring out the kind of services you're offering. It may be more challenging to sell an agent on your full service TC offerings when you're only available an hour a day or a couple days out of the week for a few hours. However, if you offered services that were more like completely on the back end of things, or just paperwork, or just reviewing paperwork or uploading paperwork, or doing maybe some other back end task where you're not communicating with people and other parties, that's the kind of work you can do at night, early mornings, weekends, and then maybe just telling the agents, these are the only tasks we do. We don't communicate, with anyone else. We'll send you emails between these hours if we need anything, and our turnaround time is maybe 1 to 2 business days or something like that. So just really clearly having a plan, establishing your working hours, your turnaround time, and exactly what services you're offering, and figuring out how to make that a little more part-time friendly for the agents will help you get more clients and also help you have more established routine between whatever your other obligations are and your TC business. This could also work if your goal is to eventually build up to a more full-time TC business, but agents may get used to these off hours or these different services, so it could be a little hard to pivot in the future, but nothing is impossible. Okay, and one of the last things I want you to consider is what your other career or job or personal obligations are that are making you consider doing this part-time. And the reason I say that is because not only will that affect your availability, but building up a TC business, if you're going to do something independently, even if you only want a couple clients, it will take a little bit of time, probably at least a few months, to build up, any type of client base for the business. There'll be a lot of upfront setup and marketing involved. So just making sure you are willing to take on all of those steps, even if in the long run it's going to be more part-time, there will be a lot of upfront work and, marketing work and things like that to get yourself to that point. So just making sure you have that capability to take on maybe a little bit more work upfront. Also, I see a lot of people who are industry adjacent doing part-time TC work. I also see some real estate agents who do this on the side. I do think there's some that do it successfully, but I know with a lot of people, it can be a little difficult to go all in on 2 different real estate things. I find most of the people I see more successful are people transitioning out of the business or transitioning maybe into like an early retirement or something. So they're not trying to be full on out there marketing, producing real estate agents. That can get a little tricky if you're also trying to work with agents in your market area, where you're kind of seeing as competition, or things should just get a little awkward. So you could have a plan where you reach out to agents in other market areas, or maybe you're slowing down your real estate business. So whatever it is, but just making considerations to make sure it's something that makes sense long term, and not just like, oh, the market's kind of slow, maybe I can pick up some TC work. Because like I said, it's a lot of upfront work, it's a lot of upkeep, and you don't want to potentially sever or burn any bridges, especially if you are a real estate agent or in the industry with other agents in your area, if it's not going to be something long-term for you. And lastly, if possible, I always recommend giving 110% to anything you do. Obviously, we all have to make choices that are right for our financial and personal decisions. But a reason I try to be a full-time TC and take on as many clients and files as possible is because I really believe what you give your attention to is what grows, and it will help you succeed. So is it possible to be part-time TC? Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes. But you will need to be clear about your boundaries, figuring out your availability, figuring out how to tweak your services, and maybe facing a couple challenges in getting clients. So just making sure you have a solid game plan, that this is something you're in for more of the long term, and that you're ready to do some of the upfront work to make this a long-term part-time role for you. I hope this answered the question for you. If you have any more questions, or if you are a part-time TC and have some tips and tricks for any of our other viewers, hit the comment section, leave me a question, leave a suggestion, and I will get back to you. I greatly appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope this helped answer your question. As always, if you've been enjoying this video and my other content, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me make more great videos for you all. Thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great day.